Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the channel, man. Appreciate you watching. Man, it's been a few days since I done a video. And here watching the news lately, I'm telling you, I saw a headline the other day where two full-grown men, reportedly now, get in a fight inside the food line over a turkey. That's what the news said. That's what the argument was initially about. But the way it started out was a man acting irate, wondering why he just couldn't buy the turkey. And the lady was trying to explain to him he needs to buy $35 worth of grocery before he could get that turkey at that price, and he just kept giving her a hard time, and another man stepped up to defend her, kind of in her honor, because the man was being disrespectful. So they get in a fist fight in the store. The guy that was getting whipped ended up pulling a pistol. So the other gentleman went outside. Well, he went outside and got his piece. But the two met in the parking lot and went to shooting at each other over a turkey. Well, you can have that turkey. I'd rather have a shank ham or a Boston butt or something, but that's me. But that's the day and time we live in, man. I try to stay away from the doom and gloom, but I do have stories, and I have one, man, that's funny. First time I heard it made me laugh. I didn't experience, but it's a friend of mine who's also a retired law officer, Stephen Earl, and he was working in the town of Fairmont. Now, I used to work in Fairmont myself. He was a sergeant, so at that particular occasion, he's working night shift. A lot of times a night shift, once you work to about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, things slow down and people go in, unless it's the summertime, you might still have some people walking around all hours of the night. But there's, some calls you get, you keep an eye on your businesses and stuff. And Fairmont's a pretty quiet community because it didn't have, like the city of St. Paul's has got 95. So you always got something open 24 hours all the time because the interstate's so close. But Fairmont was quiet. That's one of the, a lot of people disagree with me, but Fairmont, man, that was one of my favorite places to work when I worked law enforcement. I particularly liked it. It was laid back, but when stuff happens, it was 100%. When it was on, it was on. But Stephen was telling me, he said, alarm happened to go off at the Fairmont liquor store, which is on the main stretch. Going into Fairmont, once you get into the city, it's there on the left. So he had a rookie with him, a trainee, if you will. So alarm goes off. They pull up. And Stephen said, "I'll run around back." So he said, "You just check the front. It's just everything's probably all right." Well, back that time in the liquor stores, they had the life-size statue, cardboard life-size statue of Captain and Barbados Spice Rum. And the way it was sitting inside the store, it was positioned with just enough light shining on it, and you had the musket in his hand, and it was pointing out. And so this officer flashed his light and saw that at a glimpse, and I reckon he panicked, thought it was a real person. He wasn't thinking. All he saw was that gun, and boy, he pulled his gun and shot the glass out of the liquor store. Oh boy, man! If I'd have been there, I'd have died, son. But I mean, can you imagine explaining to the chief and calling him, waking him up, Chief? Oh boy, shot the window, and here you are. You got to do a report on discharging your firearm, and you got to do a damage report, and you probably got to pay for the window out of your own pocket because you're the one that done it, you know. So, and stories, man, most of the stories I tell are what I experienced, but sometimes I share the folks that tell me stories of funny stuff. Man, that was hilarious, baby. Oh boy, man, oh man, things you run into. Hey man, if you like what you see and hear on the channel, man, hit like and subscribe. I'd love to have you. Love telling you stories. Anything that I can tell you. Boy, that reminds me, you know, back at Christmas time when I worked in St. Paul's, another funny thing was they'd have the night out and have decorations and stuff, and they have like a little parade. That's when they had the parade. But then at night on Broad Street, they'd have everything lit up. And this one business had a animated Santa Claus that would move when it's all motion. And a certain time of night, we'd have to go out and check the doors, you know, and walk Main Street. So a buddy of mine over Harrington, I'd walk one side and he'd walk the other. But on that particular occasion, Anthony was working with Harrington that night, and Anthony's one was telling me about it. So Harrington walked by that Santa Claus and he said, "We wish you were," you know, just all of a sudden, so Harrington drew down on the Santa Claus. He was fixing to shoot the window out and shoot the Santa Claus. But anyway, funny stuff, man. You know, and it's always good to get a good laugh. It really is. The stuff that you go through, I'm telling you, getting a good laugh, man, it just makes everything at ease, you know, just for a moment in time. And you need that, you know, you need laughter. But all right, man, that's the funny story, y'all. Y'all have a good one.